Oops, just lost you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Because we're now live.
Yeah.
What's up, Melissa? It's so nice to see you.
You too. It was so fun meeting in Dallas. We were like,
I know. Dallas was a lot of fun. I'd love to level up a bit. I can't wait to. They're throwing another like SaaSpreneur
I
master.
know. I just got it yesterday. I'm like, oh, now I'm gonna.
I think I saw James Hurst post about it. I'm like, oh, they're
He's
having
already
another
going.
event.
Yeah. Of
Dude,
course.
I definitely
James
need to
is.
go.
I can't
be there?
beat James to it.
Are you going to be there?
I'm leaning towards it. I'm guessing I'll be there. I'll probably bring Stephanie because I didn't bring Stephanie.
You got to bring her.
Day. And everybody's like, where's Stephanie? And I'm like, I know. And I kept texting her. She goes, I know. I should have been there. But
Oh my goodness.
I'll probably bring Steph this time.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and jump right in. It was funny, guys, because we were having a pre-podcast conversation and it started just it was so good. And I'm like, wait a second, let's just go live right now. We gotta restart this whole thing. So Melissa, if you would just go through kind of like your history, your background, and how you got to the point where you were using HighLevel.
Okay. So I'll try to keep this short because I am old. I won't go through the whole thing, but
please tell us your whole biography.
Yeah,
please.
In my early 20s, and for those that know our story, they'll get it, and for those that don't yet, it'll make sense as I tell the rest of the story. But my mother, I was in college. My mother owned a business, and she said, I'm going down to Chicago. We live in the Milwaukee area. She said, I'm going to Chicago for 3 days for a sales training. Do you want to go with me? And I'm like, no, I'm in college. I'm not going to be a salesperson. And she said,
you're way above that, right?
Yeah, I'll take you shopping and, we'll do all that other kind of stuff. So I said, okay, fine. Well, by the third day, I was in love. The program was called Integrity Selling, and it was all about selling is about helping people. Mm-hmm. And when I finally got that, I went, oh, I love to help people. So that changed everything. My mom and I became the first female distributors for that organization. We spent 8 years going around the country, installing that sales training program into many organizations. And
Did you drop out of school?
Huh?
Did you drop out of school for that?
Well, I was already, you know what? I never finished. I have probably a semester to go.
Oh, okay.
Different things where they say, oh yeah, well, we'll pay for you to go. I'm like, yeah, no, thanks. Because I really don't, but it was all for marketing. And so marketing was always my thing, but I didn't get sales. So we did that business for 8 years together. I had my first child. She was 2 months old and my mom died just totally unexpectedly. I had a newborn. I had another baby. I got pregnant again right away, had another baby. It was a very painful time, very, very challenging time. I did that business for another 4 years, and then I sold it because that's not why I became a mom. You can imagine back in the day, you had to fly everywhere. You had to do everything. There was no internet. We didn't have Zoom calls. We didn't have any of that stuff. And so it was a really hard business to run when you had 2 babies at home. So I stayed home, had a third baby. Many of you know her, Stephanie Blair.
What's up, Steph?
Somebody said to me, that was the best ROI you she was amazing. Yeah. And then I went back into the working world and I got into factory automation and robotics in marketing. And
wow, that is awesome.
Spent 12 years in what I referred to as manland. I absolutely loved it because I was this weirdo coming in and talking about funnels and pipelines and all this kind of stuff. And in that industry, sales was considered stopping by on Fridays with donuts. That's the way they the industrial world. So I'm like all about this crazy stuff, but it was a lot of fun until I turned 55. And then I went, wait a minute, I'm building this guy's equity.
Yep.
I want to be able to have a business again. And quite honestly, I built this business to sell it because I was able to stay home for a number of years because I sold the first business. Now I wanted to build another business to fund our retirement and help our retirement and everything. Well, that all went to hell.
Of course.
not even looking at retiring yet. So yeah, this is an example of where was I going with this?
We're talking about what you were doing before you found
Yeah,
HighLevel.
so that's
At
what I was
what point
doing.
did you find HighLevel, like in this journey?
Yeah, so when I quit my job, I had HighLevel didn't exist yet because that was in 2017, and I started selling Visita. So the reason I went that route is because I love marketing, I love sales, and I love technology. And so I was always that nerdy one trying to get the software to work. Matter of fact,
What's
I signed
Visita?
on Visita. Oh, you know Visita. It's the actual software program that Yellow Pages white labels as, what's it called?
Thrive or whatever?
Thrive or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
Visita is the program that Yellow Pages. So
Got
I was a white labeler for Visita. The problem
Oh,
is
okay.
their white label program was horrible. It just was not a good experience. And they didn't have the automation. Now, I don't know if that's changed over time, but they didn't have the automation. So I would get clients to a certain level and they go, okay, Melissa, now if this happens, I want all these things to happen. And I'm like, yeah, we don't have
Yeah, we don't do that.
we don't do that. The most important feature we don't do.
Yeah.
So I just kept networking, and I stumbled on through Mike Cooch, HighLevel. So I booked an appointment with Sean.
Can I pause you
And
can I pause you just for 1 second? How many clients did you have for the Visita white labeling thing that you were?
oh gosh, probably 25 or 30, just small.
Okay.
I was charging very little to do it and learning.
Okay.
So not a whole lot. And then I would lose them, because they would graduate out and they'd say, where should I go? And I'm like, I don't know. I got involved with Infusionsoft early and that was just too big of a monster.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you hopped on the phone with Sean at some point.
Yeah. Well, so they had just launched, so they had the CRM and they had just launched the scheduler, right? And one of the things that I was most attracted to in Visita is that it did have kind of an all-in-one with the scheduler and everything. So I said, hey, Sean, let's book an appointment. Send me your calendar link. He sends me a Calendly link. And I'm like, yeah, this is a scam.
Red flag.
And so I go, why are you sending me a Calendly link? Because I'm a little suspicious at this point. I've met with a lot of companies at that point.
Yeah.
He goes, Melissa, and now, now knowing Sean, he goes, Melissa, we've been so busy. I haven't even had time to set up my own calendar. And I'm like, okay, fair.
And what year is this?
Huh?
What year was this?
So I joined the Facebook group for HighLevel in February of 2019. So it was probably still late 2018. Or somewhere around there.
Okay, so you're a real OG then.
Really early, but when I talked to Sean and he explained to me what he was building, and I was like, oh, please be real, please.
Yeah.
I signed on for the $297. I didn't even realize there was a $97 plan, and I probably wouldn't have done that anyway, but I signed on for the $297 and I said, Sean, if I can't get my first client in the first, I think it was a 2-week trial, can I have like an extra week? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And so like the first week I sent him an email, said, never mind, I got my first couple clients. Because what I did, and a lot of people don't want to do this, but I just went out and started talking to people. I just went out and I went to my networking group and I said, hey guys, this is what I'm looking at doing. And they're like, oh, that sounds awesome. Can I come aboard? So I had 17, and I was in a women's networking group at the time. So I called them my founding sisters. And I had 17 women say, I'm on board. And I said, I'm going to be a week ahead of you. So I'm not even, you're going to find I'm very transparent. If I have to fake something, I'm not good at it. You would know my face gets all red.
Can I pause you for 1 second? Oh my God, I actually totally forgot what I was
going to say.
Sorry, that's the worst ever. I just interrupted you and your total.
I do it all the time.
I'm sorry, please continue.
So the founding sisters, I charge them $79 a month and I helped them with everything. Okay. And so I wasn't really making money. It was only me. I was still learning the software, and there was no Chase Buckner. There was no YouTube channel. There was nothing.
And you were selling this as SaaS to them.
I went right to SaaS because I knew that's what was missing. I didn't want to start a marketing agency, the traditional marketing agency. I knew what was missing was the SaaS piece. So I didn't do anything but sell the SaaS.
Okay, cool. So
And
so many people, when they first found HighLevel, they were thinking about it as, okay, this is what I can do for my marketing agency clients.
yeah,
Because you actually came from Visita, you were a white
I was
labeling
already in
selling
SaaS.
as a SaaS. You're like, oh, okay, boom. You went straight for this, straight for SaaS as soon as it started. Okay, cool, amazing.
Yep.
And so
And
were you using like a bunch of like external platforms to facilitate like the actual payments and stuff like that? Because at that time, obviously there was no SaaS mode. There was
yeah, I don't even know what I did back then. It was like we were talking about before, it was a lot of imperfect action, but because I'm so transparent, everybody was okay with that. It's like, hey guys, you're getting a hell of a deal because I'm going to learn this and you're going to benefit from it. And we grandfathered the pricing so that, they were willing to work with me on that,
Mhm.
and so it was a lot of imperfect action. My son and I were just talking about it today. I'm like, I can't believe all the things I did back then, because I view myself as I'm smart enough to get all this, but I'm not smart enough to do it every day. So when the team got formed eventually, I'm like, oh my God, you guys are so much better at this than I am. I don't even know how I
Yeah.
managed to get this far. But again, it's imperfect action, and just your focus is on helping others. And I learned so much about who my ideal client is and should be. And you don't figure that out. This is just my opinion. You don't figure that out until you work with a whole bunch of people and you find who your ideal client is. I'm 61 years old. I am no longer like when I started, it's like, oh, if we had 500 people on here, look at all the money we could make. And yeah, look at all the work it takes and all that.
Yeah.
So I have completely switched to, I just want our happy little business. I have two of my kids in the business. We all are having a blast. We're learning, we're having fun, we're meeting incredible people. I don't want that multi-million-dollar agency anymore. When the kids take it over, if they want to turn it into that, great. But I just want to have fun and make good money and help people. And so my perception of success in this business has changed a lot.
Yeah.
Everybody's shooting for, I want over 100 clients. Yeah, that's really nice because you have that nice income coming in, and it reduces the stress of being a business owner because you always have this money coming in. But at a certain point, well, what is that whole thing now? They say the average person's happiness level in their life does not change after about $70,000 a year.
Yes. Yeah. So
And
the degree to which like money is actually directly correlated with happiness stops at around
about
$70,000.
$70,000. And it's funny because once you kind of really get that, it starts changing your idea of what success is.
Absolutely. So obviously, how many clients do you have right now as a part of your SaaS?
We've got about 100. Yeah, so it's about 100. We're, December, we always lose a few because people look through their stuff and if they're not doing it. And we take very seriously when somebody leaves. So we look at, we used to call it a sales autopsy. Like, why did this person not work out?
Oh,
And
that's a great idea. Yeah.
so often, it has to do with we never should have signed them on in the first place.
Yeah.
I'm getting very picky about who we take on because we can.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I was that way in the beginning. You gotta do your due diligence. You've got to learn. But after you get to a certain point, now we just are really picky that we want the people that are most likely to succeed.
One thing that we had said previously before we hopped on, you had basically said the same thing, and you had told me that you were charging $297 currently for like your all-in-one plan. And I think that you had mentioned that you did not start that way. You kind of started with a lower price. Is that correct? Well,
Yeah, $79.
okay. So you were is that for a
I couldn't
lifetime?
afford to hire help. I couldn't afford, I couldn't afford to do anything. Yeah.
And so at what point, like how far along into it were you like, I need to raise this price?
Well, because we started so early, every time there would be some major changes, some major additions to the features, we would up the charge. So we went from like 79 to 99 to 110 to 119 I mean, I just kept,
Yeah, I mean, well, the good thing is that they're always just mass manufacturing features. So just be like, this could be another $10 a month, you know?
So
Okay.
297 now is about, what HighLevel says should be, but they also say 297 and only give them, 4 or 5 of the features. Our ideal client's going to need all the features. We're much more about teach a man or a woman to fish as opposed to giving them the fish. So that's why our certification got built, is because we're all about teaching. We're all about, you need to understand this in order for it to really make you money. That's just the route we went. And kind of what we were talking about before, Samuel, was you have to build this business the way you want to build it, who you are, what you love to do. We love to teach, we love to help, we love helping people figure this out. And so that provides us satisfaction. So that's why we went this route. Now there's other people, they'll do it for you. We've tried a lot of things. This is just works for us. And I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody.
Exactly. I mean, so you charging $297, that's going to leave a whole lot of people out. But actually, you're focusing, and correct me if I'm wrong, on coaches and consultants who are at that 6-figure level already and who already have systems. They understand how business works. You're just giving them jet fuel to throw on that fire with all these automations, right?
Sorry, I got to write that down. Exactly. We went through a lot of people that were new to business. Those were our founding 7 people.
Founding sisters.
All newer to business. And then I realized they're asking me to teach them how to do things like identify their ideal client. That's not my thing. That's not why I'm here. So we a lot of times when I'm meeting with somebody, I'll say, hey, you need to go meet with you need to go work with this coach or consultant first and then come back to us. So we have a number of, we call them power partners, where I'll say, hey, you're not ready for this type of system yet. We're going to be an expense and you're going to end up dropping us after 3 months because you're not doing anything because you got a lot of other work to do first. So we'll send them off to one of our power partners. And then all of a sudden I'll get an email back and let's say 6 months, a year later saying, hey, so-and-so said we're ready for you now. And then we'll get them onboarded because we know that they're teaching them what we need to teach. So if they don't know how to make money, they don't know who their ideal client is, they don't know a lot of that stuff, we feel they're not ready for what we sell HighLevel as, which is your rocket, your jet fuel, like you just said.
I think what you just said is actually, I really want people to actually pay attention to what you just said, because here's the point that she just made. She's going through this through the sales call process, and she's trying to determine, hey, what level are you at, right? Are you a good fit? Yes or no? Then she says that she has power partners that she's partnered with. She's going to pass them off if they're not a good fit. So that way, I mean, I'm guessing you have some form of affiliate deals with these power partners, right?
Actually, I don't.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, I could. To me, it's more important that they go learn from the right person. And then that person knows to send it back to me because they're a client. So
okay,
we've got some really good clients that way. Now, I do pay them an affiliate fee because I don't care. I mean, to me, you just made this person ripe for this program.
Absolutely.
But you know how the whole affiliate thing works. Some people are into it, some people aren't,
Yeah. Well, that's one way. That's one way that you can monetize on leads that aren't really a good fit for you, right? If you recognize, hey, usually these people need some more understanding about business foundations and stuff like that. I have a coach over here that I'm going to refer them to. You could set up an affiliate relationship so that you're making
100%.
money either way you zig or you zag.
And I'm sure they would say yes. We just never really focused on it much. But
now, how are you marketing? How are you getting people into the SaaS?
From day one, I hired a business coach, and he said, Melissa, get out and network. And I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I don't even know what I'm doing yet.
How can I automate that?
Yeah. Why would I go out and talk to people when I don't even know? And he said, go out and ask a lot of questions. And so it got to the point where I finally went, fine, I'll go out and network. And then he was like, because when I went out there and really started talking to other business owners and asking the right questions, they were telling me their frustrations. And then when I finally had a solution and went back to them, that's how I easily got those 17 people, because I said, hey, remember when you were telling me about this? And we have something we're putting into place. And so to this day, we don't do ads. We don't do the traditional stuff. I'm networking every single day. I'm out talking to people every day. I'm doing podcasts, speaking engagements, all kinds of things. We're going to be writing some articles, doing some other stuff that way. And then our affiliate program. So our clients know who the ideal client is. So they send me people that are ripe and ready. And then, I mean, to me, that commission I pay, best money I ever spent. Have no problem paying those commissions every month, because they are guaranteeing me that I'm going to be talking to some qualified people. But that's all we do right now. That's still after 3.5 years, we still,
when you said that
salesperson.
When you said that you started off by doing networking with just business owners and stuff like that, were you at that point, did you know that you wanted to go after coaches and consultants, or were you kind of just like going around and finding out what people needed and finding a way to make money?
Yep. And the only reason coaching and consultant really came up is because in the networking group I was in, there were a lot of them, and there are in a lot of networking groups. It took me a long time before I realized that they have to already know how to make money. If they don't know how to make, so I can tell really quickly, because people say, how much is it? I say $297 a month. And if they go, oh God, $297 a month.
$297.
You're out. But if they go, $297, why is it so cheap?
Hey.
Because they're already spending. I got on the phone with one guy, or on Zoom or whatever, with one guy, and he's still a client to this day, very successful podcaster. And I said, how much do you spend right now on software? And he said, funny you would ask. It was in January. He said, I'm just doing everything for taxes. And he said, I just totaled it up. I spent $19,000 a year on software last year. So when you're telling me at the time, I think I was, he's been with us for a while. So I think I was at $129 a month. So for $129 a month, you're telling me I can replace a lot of that? Not everything. He had podcasting software and all that.
Right.
And that's when I knew, oh man, my ideal client's going to think it's too cheap. They don't suspect it. I mean, they're suspective. They think
it's sus.
It's gotta suck because it's too cheap. And I'm still getting that comment at $297. Now we are talking about, you and I were talking about earlier. So many people, can you just give us a cheaper version? And I always go back to Stephanie and go, I got all these people, they want a cheaper version. She goes, Mom, those people are a drain. And I won't say anything negative about them, but they drain you. They drain your support. They drain you. They drain everybody. They complain. They're unhappy. And so every time I come to her, and it's probably about every 3 months, she goes, Mom, I'm like, I know, I just want to help everybody. So we will not have a cheaper version, but we will have a more expensive version where we're going to be adding some of the add-ons that are available.
Right now in your product, a big feature of your marketing is the appeal of, okay, ditch the duct tape, right? You're not having to connect all these different things at the same time.
That trademark, because I've seen a couple people steal it already.
Definitely need to get that trademark. It's pretty good. But what I'm wondering is, are you, do you have any kind of special, snapshot or something in there, or do you just give them pretty much vanilla high level and say, here you go?
No, we've worked with Beyond from Extendly. We bought his 5K package.
The
and
SaaS
then
box.
Yeah, and then we like, I'm kind of I don't know what the word would be, but Steph and I like picked what the reason I buy everybody's snapshot, like everybody that sells something, I buy it. I'm like the easiest target in the world because I buy it and then I
Noted.
analyze everything they're doing. Like, oh, that was brilliant, or whatever. Beyond snapshots, to me, number one, I bought almost all of them.
They're really good.
They're really, really good. And yet we still took out certain things and modified certain things to make it us. But it's learning how other people think.
Exactly.
Because every one of us is doing it differently. There isn't everybody that's doing it the same way. And
That's exactly my thought process too with these different snapshots. Is really the way that I see them is I see them as workflow libraries.
Yes.
Like, okay, so you were thinking this, and that. So you were thinking,
well, if we added this
tag in order to indicate that they replied, in order to reference it in this workflow, and that's pretty smart. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing I think people are afraid to do. That, well, you're going to have to spend some money to get this figured out. You're just going to have to. You could do it the way I did it, and because there wasn't anything else, I just had to figure everything out on my own. And fortunately, Sean and Robin, and I mean, they spent a lot of time helping us in the beginning, in the newbies and stuff, but they were figuring it out as they went too. But you have to spend some money to get this figured out, because you have to figure out how you want to do this business. When I first started, Rob Bailey, I just saw him in Dallas, and I told him, I said, you were the first one I invested in. And to this day, I still haven't done a database reactivation because that wasn't the right fit for me. That wasn't where I was going, but that didn't stop me from I still learned a lot of his stuff. And I learned that, okay, that isn't what I want to do. And then I watched a couple other, and I ended up just kind of doing my own thing with SaaS, which then turned out to be a big thing, which I thought I was the weirdo. The only one selling SaaS, and
not everyone was doing that at the time.
Nobody, because everybody else was a marketing agency.
It wasn't until like almost a year after where you started seeing, REI Reply or like Pipeline Pro, like really start to
So we just have really had to find what we want out of all this. And that's what I suggest to everybody. Get out and talk to people. Take action, even though it may not work, because invariably you'll figure out a better way to do it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to fail at things. I mean, all the books tell you all this. And until you really do it, you don't realize how very true it is. You cannot learn the system without real clients. You can pretend to, but you really want to have, and that's why our certification is built with labs. And we give you pretend clients that you have to do a project, because it's only when you're doing that project for that client that you're really going to start understanding how it all comes together.
That's exactly what I was about to ask you. Is more about your certification. I mean, obviously you're selling the SaaS itself, but if you go to your website, one of the biggest things on there is talking about the certification. So I was wondering, like, at what made you realize that you wanted to build in a certification as a part of the product, as an upsell? And you could just talk a little bit about
perfect action. We had no intention of doing that. That was not our intention at all. The number one problem we saw was virtual assistants that didn't know the program, working with clients, and the clients, we would lose clients because the virtual assistant didn't know what they were doing. And so Stephanie said, and Stephanie runs our open office hours. So she said, I'm sick of answering the same questions over and over again. I'm going to build like a little training program. And we said, oh, well, we should put virtual assistants through that, because then we know that any VA that we recommend to our clients knows the system. And so that's been working. And then other high levelers found out about it, and they're like, well, wait, I'm just new to high level. I want to learn the system. So then they signed up. And then we've got other high levelers that have numerous employees, because when we would hire somebody, first 2 weeks, they do nothing but go through our certification. My son and Morgan, who have been on our team now for a while, neither one of them even knew what a CRM was. Stephanie didn't know what a CRM was when she started. So they didn't know any of this. But by the time they got through the second phase of the training, they were building stuff. So we knew it worked. And then so the words just kept spreading. So then other higher levels were like, I got 2 new employees. I just want to put them through the training. And because there isn't anything else out there. Going to I love high level, and yet the YouTube channel is outdated, because that's the number one hard part, is keeping up. Stephanie's job is to keep up. Everything's got to stay up to date. Every time we get a new feature drop, she's got to go in and add all that new stuff and update all her workbooks and checklists and make workbooks and checklists for the new feature. And that's pretty much her number one job.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So, when it comes to actually employing people and bringing people on, I mean, you started by yourself, and you said at some point you brought on actually both your kids, or 2 of your kids at least.
Yep. 2.
At what point?
Works the same company as my husband, so we're very family oriented.
Okay.
She's over with my husband, and then the other 2 are here with me.
So, like, at what point did you where you're like, I definitely can't do this by myself anymore, I have to bring somebody on?
Well, that's when I started raising my price, because I realized this is killing me. I've always been somebody who enjoyed work. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
I love work.
But it started getting really bad. Because I think I had 70 clients before Stephanie came aboard.
Wow.
Maybe not that much. I can't remember, because I remember Mailgun kicked us off because one of our clients spammed everybody. So I had to switch everybody from Mailgun to, oh no, Steph was with us by then, because she was helping me move people. But yeah, her whole thing was just a fluke, because she was in college. She was just finishing up her freshman year, and COVID hit. Now, I work in the basement. Nobody knows what I do in here. My husband just says, I hear you laughing. I know you're happy. That's good. He doesn't know what the hell people I do. But it's going well, he tells them, but they don't really know how to explain it.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. So Steph came home. I said, hey, my husband's got health issues. And I said, we're going to take this COVID thing very seriously. Don't get a job. Just work for me for the summer. I'll give you, some stuff to do.
Yeah.
And of course, when you bring on somebody new, you got to spend time training them. Well, fortunately, it wasn't 3 weeks probably. And Stephanie had her own Zoom account, was already meeting with clients. Her brain just got it. It was like she just fell into her perfect job.
Yeah.
And then it was the 2 of us, and that was a huge relief, because I didn't have to micromanage her. I didn't have to, she just gets it, Yeah. And then we just have slowly added people, because you don't really need a lot of people. So we've got Morgan. Well, so Austin joined us about 7 months ago. He's I said today, you're my ultimate geek. He does Padly and Zapier, and he's doing, he's monitoring tech support, and he'll jump on people with 15-minute meetings and help them if they're stuck on something. And so again, he gets it, but he said without the certification, he said, I would have been lost, because it's too hard to figure it out from so many places.
Yeah, it's a lot.
As part-time. The funny thing with Morgan is one of my clients, one of my long-term clients called me and said, I have the most incredible person, but she needs full-time and I can only employ her part-time. Do you need anybody? And I said, as a matter of fact, I think it would be good. And so if I'll pay her to go through a certification, if it works, we'll hire her. So she works for us in the mornings and she works for my client in the afternoon.
Wow. Okay, cool.
And then I'm like, Jamie, now she knows how to do this. And then so Jamie's like, yay, and I'm going to have her do that. So it really, that was a perfect example of how having a good person in a client's platform makes a huge difference. A bad VA who doesn't come to open office hours, who doesn't learn the platform. I mean, I had one client, she was about to cancel, and she said, well, I need a course builder and you guys don't have a course builder. And I'm like, we've had a course builder for 6 months. And she's like, well, I didn't know that. And it's like, well, you don't read our emails and your VA doesn't come to anything, because we tell our clients, anybody on your team can come to our open office hours. We want them to learn. We want them to ask questions. So next year, what we're going to be doing is, now most of our people have gotten to advanced levels. So we're going to have advanced open office hours and we're going to have newbie open office hours, because what happens, and I'm sure you're seeing it too, newbies have different questions than advanced people do. And when these guys start taking over and asking their advanced stuff, these guys feel lost and left out. So we're going to start doing that right away. Because there's nothing worse than going into an open office hour and realizing I have no clue what you people are talking about. So that hurts us in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. I had another question, because I was checking out your website earlier in preparation for this podcast, and one of the things that I noticed that I thought was kind of remarkable was that you actually you reference HighLevel directly on your website. So whereas so many people, they want to really obfuscate that, you're actually openly saying, hey, this is HighLevel, or at least this is powered by HighLevel.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, what was your thought? What were your thoughts around that? Why did you do that? Have you found that level of transparency has helped you more than it hindered you? Have you seen people leave, etc.?
Great question. We didn't do it until just recently, although we've all personally talk about HighLevel. We just never put it on our website really before. When I first started, I figured if this goes the way I think it's going to go, I've got a couple years to get ahead of the game. And so I kept HighLevel kind of quiet. I mean, people would ask me, did you build this? And I'm like, yeah, no, I want them to know there's a company behind me, because if they think I'm building this in my basement, I would run the other way. If I were a client, I wouldn't buy from me.
That's a fantastic point, by the way, because like, so everyone, people will offer this all-in-one solution, have your whole business on there. And they're like, people will just love it because it's an amazing product. But there's also, as a business owner, there's a serious risk thing that you need to consider before you're moving your entire business onto this platform. And if it's just some rando, if it's some Melissa Blair who's thrown together in her
my basement,
you know what I'm saying, then it's a serious, the actual like long-term ability of the company and stuff. I mean, that's all part of the business owner's evaluation before they decide, I want to move forward with you. I want to move all my stuff over to this platform.
Yep. And so now, in the beginning, nobody knew HighLevel, nobody. And then now, invariably I'll be doing a demo and somebody will say, is this HighLevel? And I'll be like, yeah, absolutely, 100%. And then we just decided, I talked to Robin before, I said, can I put that on my logo? Cultivating Sales powered by HighLevel. He's like, yeah, sure. So I know you have to, I used to be in manufacturing. They have logo police and all that where you can't use, and I know these guys are going to get to that point more and all that, but we didn't use the graphic, just the name. But we want people to know, just like WordPress. I mean, there are agencies that do nothing that build on WordPress, but they don't pretend that WordPress doesn't exist. So, and again, I've told you before, I can't lie. I can't play games. I can't.
It's weird. You know what? That level of, of trying to obfuscate it, it creates attention, right? between you and your clients,
Yeah.
there's some form of game that's being played, and you have to
Yeah.
kind of like keep it under like low and under wraps. I feel
Don't
like,
ever say this or don't ever say that. Like, no.
and I think that, I mean, truly, like at the end of the day, all the people who are going to sell SaaS, they're going to resell high level. People are going to realize it's high level at some point. And so I think that it seems to me that the best thing to do in the long run is make sure that you're adding so much additional value on top of high level when it comes to, let's say it's coaching. Let's say that you offer amazing support, right? This or that, or add additional softwares that are part of it and make it a whole suite or whatever. But you need to be positioning yourself where they wouldn't want to leave you to just go to high level, right?
You know what? And people leave. People leave for a number of reasons. We're at the end of the year. We've lost a few people in December. I've done that with software too, where I went, I'm really not using this. And I let it go. And some people will say, I'm switching to another, high level will switch people. And we have no problem. We're like, yeah, go. If they're going on price, I can't stop you. I'm not going to charge you less. I mean, we offer too much to charge you less. So if you want to go according to price, go for price. If you want to go, even if I get we don't work with dentists. If I get a lead for a dentist, I'm going to go find somebody in high level and give them that lead. I'm not going to sell it because I don't work with dentists. That's a whole nother ball game. And that's why I get to know a lot of the other high levelers, because I want to know if I give a lead to somebody that deals with chiropractors, I want to know that I'm sending them to a good person. But it's all about, if we're not right for you, that's okay. If you decide to leave and go with another company, that's okay. We just don't sweat it, because there are enough of our ideal clients out there. And we at this point don't need to take on that many. If you took on 50 or 100 right away, you would be at the liquor store a lot. Because it's just too much. You need to take them on and learn how to do the onboarding and learn. And we're on our 5th time of reinventing our onboarding, because we're always trying to get better. And we ask the clients, how did that feel? Did that feel good? Or did you get lost in that? Yeah, I got a little lost. Okay, let's figure that. We are so transparent for that reason, because we're all just businesses trying to do better.
Yeah.
Our clients are no different than us. We're all trying to figure this out. And just running businesses in general, not just the software. So
I was about to ask you, obviously, so there is this pressure. There are people who will leave to go to high level directly and stuff. What are the different measures that you're taking when it comes to, making an awesome onboarding process, like you mentioned, or creating a community, or these other things that you find are good ways of reducing that level of churn and making them want to stay with you and not go to high level?
Each company is going to have its own culture. I'm a believer in integrity selling. The company is called Cultivating Sales. We're a family business. We're transparent and lighthearted, and I want to attract people who are going to want to work with us in that fashion. If somebody wants a really, buttoned up, suit wearing, structured, then we're not the right fit. So we're trying in the sales process and in the marketing process to attract people who are going to like our culture, our environment. As far as going to high level directly, I get frustrated just like everybody else when you see people that probably shouldn't be in there. But you never know who's going to do like what we did. I wasn't a traditional marketing agency, so how can I judge other people coming in? You never know where this is just going to flourish for them. When I meet somebody, I get to know them. I'm asking. Integrity selling is all about asking the questions. You don't talk about anything until you find out where they're at and all that. So if I find out they're a marketing agency, I'm going to tell them about high level. If I find out, and then if they say, and I'll be honest, I'll say running a SaaS business you're basically running a software business. Is that something you're interested in? And they're like, no way whatsoever. Then we'll just put them under us as a client. So I've got marketing agencies that want nothing to do. Well, they get a commission because they're turning their clients on to us, that kind of thing.
Okay, cool. That's actually a very cool idea.
Well, and I've had other people who have agencies. Well, no, they got into HighLevel, and then they realized, I don't want to run a marketing agency or a SaaS agency. I just want to use it for myself. And then we have them come under us for that, if they're the right fit for us. But so we're very, I'm like, I don't want a closer. Like if I'm going to hire a sales, I don't want a closer because I don't want everybody. So we're very different in that, we're selective. We're not trying to sell everybody.
Got it.
So
but it sounds like you're kind of meeting them with where they're at during the sales process and finding out what they need. And speaking to that directly, right?
Yeah.
That's one reason why a lot of people get overwhelmed with HighLevel, is just because it does so much. And there's also a major, like learning curve with it to even understand what it can really do. So I think, simply just by positioning it as a solution to their problem, you're going to have sales, right? Yeah. Even if they do know about HighLevel, because they don't want to spend that time trying to learn everything and all that. Yeah. So I think positioning yourself in that way makes a whole lot of sense.
And I think that's why we haven't lost a lot of affiliates, because when we do tell somebody about HighLevel and we introduce them to the idea of that they can build a business doing it, it's because I think they really can, not because I'm trying to get a commission out of them. Because the truth is, we can be bringing on hundreds and hundreds of new affiliates every day, and half of them are going to be walking out, if not more, 80-20. 20% are going to stick and 80% are going to go out the back door. Until we figure out how to provide them with the tools, the training, the system to be able to get up and running as quickly as possible. But again, if you're not the right fit, we can give you everything and it's still not going to work.
Absolutely. So what does your current onboarding process look like?
We're going through another change right now, but mainly it's, and this is probably different than a lot of people, but I get their credit card. If I'm on a call with them and they say, my big closing line is, well, is this something you want to go forward with? I mean, I don't have this tricky close or anything like that. And if they say, yeah, sounds perfect. I'll say, well, give me your credit card. Here's what we're going to do. Do you want to buy monthly or annually? And we have the usual 2 months free if you buy annually. And then I place the order for them. I go to our internal form and I place the order. That kicks off. Right now we have a funnel that they go through. So they sign the terms and conditions. Then they go to a form they have to fill in. Then they go to a video with some homework they need to do. Then they have to book an onboarding session with us. And then we have something called the 30-day accountability session that they book right away. So at the end of 30 days, I meet with them and we talk about, and this was one of Steph's brilliant ideas. I thought it was going to be a 30-day check-in. She said, no, we're going to make it a 30-day accountability, because at that point, at 30 days, they have to have done something in 30 days. And so they come to us, and a lot of times somebody will say, well, I haven't done anything. It's my fault. I was busy, but I haven't done anything, but here's what I'm going to do. And that's where it also gives me time, them time to show off what they've built. Because some of them, they'll show me all these things they built and they're proud of themselves. And, it's a celebration. And then other times it's going to be like, well, what's the biggest hang up? Well, I realized I don't have the time to do this. Do you have somebody in your team that could do it? No, not really. Would you like to hire one of our certified people? Because you can hire them just for projects. You don't have to hire them for X amount or anything. And then we'll say, okay, let's get you set up with, I'll give them usually, well, we can send them to the directory, but usually I'll say, here's 3 or 4 people. You should interview them. You still want to make sure that they're the right fit for you and all that. But that 30 days is a good telltale sign as to whether they're going to make it or not, because they're either checked out at that point, and that means I should have never sold them in the first place because I missed something, or they realize I need more help. And then if they haven't been coming to open office hours, we're like, make sure you start doing this and doing this. And we have free courses and we have all this stuff. Or they get to show off what they built, because then we know they're really on their way. Yeah.
Now, are you doing any type of is there any type of continuous customer success stuff that you guys are doing past that 30-day mark? Are you doing?
No, that's the next level. Yep, that's the next level. We want to start doing like case studies. And again, when you don't bring on the right people, you're going to have these warm, squishy. I really love the system. I love our support. I love you guys, all that kind of stuff. But that's not quantitative. Now that we're bringing on the right people, we want to get better at saying, well, here's where you were, here's where you are now, what things make, we want it to be more quantitative.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
First question. Obviously, you started off relatively early in the whole SaaS history. Okay. What would you recommend to somebody who's starting today? How should they get started? How should they get their first few clients?
I think everybody's looking for the easy button. You have to get out and talk to people. You have to take imperfect action. You just have to start doing it. Start signing up some clients. Do it cheap if you have to, and learn along the way. 1 or 2 people. Don't do 17 like I did. But just get started. I think everybody wants to study and do all that. There's no better way to learn than just to get in there and do it. Now, our certification will cut that time in half to learn the whole system. Well, cut it down tremendously, but you still at some point need to get out there and start selling. And if you're going to run ads, you better be darn sure you know who your ideal client is and what solution you provide them. Well, you don't know that till you get out there. So there's no other way to start than just have a messy start. Just get out there and be messy.
So it sounds like if you're brand new, if you don't have a business yet, what you should do is go out there, work with pretty much anybody, get your first few clients, make money. At that point, you'll be able to see who you're able to deliver the most for, maybe then niche down, right? And then
what you love to do, what you hate to do. I surprisingly am an introvert. So I viewed myself as being the person that would sit and work in the software all the time. Turns out I love this part where I'm selling. And remember, it's not selling, trying to get their money out of their pocket and into mine. It's helping people find solutions to their problems. That's fun for me. That's the part I really, really love to do. I didn't really know that until I got doing it. And now, so the rest of the team, they're way smarter. And I thought I was smart until I saw them, or I start watching, like Beyond's Snapshot, or any number of the good snapshots that are out there and everything. You start realizing there are people that are way smarter than I am at that. And those are the people you want to surround yourself with.
Amazing.
Find what you like, but in the beginning, you got to do it all.
And so then I think maybe you've already answered the second question with the answer to the first. The second question is, what do you feel is the key to success with SaaS, but also in business in general?
It's sales.
Yeah.
You got if you think that sales is something sleazy and something you don't want to be associated with, you're not going to want to do it. So until you make that shift in your mind that sales is a service, sales is a gift that you give people. If you have a horrible pain in your heart area, you're going to go to a doctor and say, what's wrong with me and how do I fix this? Sales is the same way. It's a gift, and you aren't going to have a successful business until you or somebody in your business takes that sales role and tells the story.
Do you have any recommended reading materials for sales stuff? Obviously,
Well, Integrity Selling.
Is that a book or where?
Yeah, it's still around. Ron Willingham, Integrity Selling. Matter of fact, I just sent it out to somebody else the other day. It's old book. As a matter of fact, there's a newer version of this. Ron died probably about a year and a half ago. So it's old. I was in my 20s. I'm now in my 60s. So it'll tell you, but it's a fast read and it's simple. It keeps it simple. Don't complicate it with all the tricky closes and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Sounds like a major key, a major takeaway here is just, moving forward with imperfect action,
100%. And I'm one of those people that I had to really fight that because I like everything perfect. And actually, someday I'm going to write a book about this. And it's the title of the book is going to be, I didn't start making money till I ran out of money. Because when I ran out of money, I had to figure out how to get out there and start making money. Because I had sold a property. I had a investment property, a rental property that I sold and made a profit to be able to start this business. But I went through that money very quickly because I was still trying to figure out what I was going to do. And then I started eating away at the home equity loan. And when you run out of money, you start figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Melissa, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful podcast.
Thank you. It's fun. It's fun. The whole business is fun. And whoever's thinking about getting involved in HighLevel, if you're willing to do all the things we just talked about, it's a hell of an opportunity. This is the real deal. This is an opportunity to start and run a business that you can do well with. And you can do it in your own way because we're all doing it in our own way. But the software is solid. The company behind it is solid. It's an opportunity. And there's some really great people in here too.
Awesome. Anything else that you want to say before we go ahead and close it out? Thank you guys so much for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.